Hello, it's Burgess Taylor, and it's Monday's Coffee Chat. Let's grab you a cuppa and let's get started. My word of the year chose me at the end of 2017. I was having a rough time, still some days having a rough time. I realized that last quarter of 2017 that I hadn't thrived the way that I wanted to, which was my word for 2017, was to thrive. Because I hadn't taken enough leaps of faith. I hadn't been brave the way that I wanted to. I hadn't conquered the self-doubt and the anxiety the way that I wanted or needed to. And I procrastinated much more than I should have. I waited around for sparks of inspiration, for motivation, and instead of waiting around, I should have grabbed a hold of it myself. And I did thrive in some ways. I did do some of the things that I set out to do. I did accomplish quite a few things that I wasn't sure I'd be able to. I actually participated in NaNoWriMo and won, and considering my dad had died in October and my mom was hospitalized for over a week right at the same time, I actually consider winning NaNoWriMo a major feat. The words that I wrote, not so great. Much of it will not end up in my Witchy Business novel, which is still happening. I am working on it. That's one of my goals for this year, is to get that done. I thought, okay, my word for this year, it came to me when I was thinking about the conversation that I had with my dad. When I was thinking about what my dad told me in that last real in-depth conversation I had. Took me for a ride on the four-wheeler, and we got caught in the rain. It drizzled on our way back home. But my dad told me I was stronger than I thought I was. Oftentimes, people who are sensitive, people who are creative, who are on the outside look a bit disorganized, a bit creative clutter. I am oftentimes still late for things, something I'm working on. I am oftentimes distracted easily, thank you ADHD. And because I am sensitive and I have anxiety, I have to work really hard because of the anxiety and the depression to do things sometimes, to get out of my comfort zone. And the word brave chose me. I got the plaque and put up below the picture of my dad and Victor that my daughter sketched. And it says, "My father gave me the greatest gift anyone could give another person. He believed in me." And he did. My dad believed in me. And that, in and of itself, kept that conversation and the fact that my dad believed in me, it kept resounding in my head. The whole time I was at the hospital with my mom, the whole time I was thinking about all the things that my dad wasn't going to get to see, but the other thing that kept resounding in my head was this powerful sense of strength that my dad gave me when my dad told me some of what he told me in that conversation. This is my third year choosing a word for the year. The first year I chose positive. And by the end of that year, I realized that it wasn't so much the glass half full as the fact that the glass was refillable. I can refill my glass. I can refill my coffee cups. As long as I don't run out of coffee. As long as I look at that cup as refillable, it doesn't matter whether it's half full or half empty. Most of the time, I am usually seeing it half full, but on the rough days, all I have to do is remind myself that cup is refillable. That glass is refillable. Last year I chose thrive, and like I said, in some ways I did thrive. My YouTube channel didn't thrive as much as I wanted it to. Patreon hasn't thrived as much as I wanted it to. My blog didn't thrive nearly as much as I wanted it to because I didn't blog the way that I needed to. YouTube didn't thrive the way that it could have because I didn't share my videos on social media the way that I could have. Patreon hasn't thrived the way that it could have because I haven't advertised it enough. And sometimes people come and go on YouTube and they come and go on Patreon for whatever reasons. Sometimes you aren't certain people's cup of tea or cup of coffee or glass of wine. And that's okay. When someone says that you're not engaging enough, or when someone says you need to work on blah, 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 or you say too much, or I don't like the music that you add to your videos, or I don't like the fact that you have long, chatty, rambly videos. There are a whole lot of other people who do like the rambly, chatty videos, who do like the music that you add to your video, or who don't mind the music that you add to your video. Or if you don't add music, are like, well, why didn't you add music to your video? So I think part of what I realized in 2017 is that I am simply not everyone's cup of coffee. And that's okay. Just like some people aren't my cup of coffee. I love, 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 love watercolor. And I love journaling. And I love text journaling. And I love the Hobonichi. And I like the bullet journal. And I like adding art sometimes to my planning. But I've noticed when I'm really busy, my pages are much more minimal. I don't really do a whole lot of stickers or a whole lot of drawing, a whole lot of art on my planning pages when I'm really busy. I have to focus, and I can't always focus when there's all this art or prettiness. Sometimes I need more function, less pretty, more function. Sometimes I need more pretty, less function. It just depends. So for my word of the year, Brave chose me. Brave chose me because Brave is part of my struggle with the grief. Brave chose me because it's part of my struggle with my anxiety. Brave chose me because that's what resonated over and over and over again in my mind. You can do this. You can do this. Come on, Burgess, be brave. You can do this. And I can do this. So I'm finishing up the newsletter video. I have it on Patreon now for them to review to make sure, because my anxiety has been in overdrive over the newsletter video. So I have them looking at it to give me some feedback. I have all but finished the blog post for this video. I just need to add this video to it. I have been journaling and writing out things and creating art, and sometimes it's on a daily basis. Sometimes I text journal multiple times a day. I've been doing morning pages. I've been being brave. I've been getting out there and doing some urban sketching. I have been doing some plein air sketching. I have been having a blast. I was brave. This was yesterday's page, and I'm going to watercolor it and then also draw today's page in here for Patreon. I have my charm that says be brave. If you want to see up close, you can check out the blog post that's going to accompany this. I will have it linked below. And I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited for a lot of reasons, but the word of the year has me really excited. And I think it's because I am finally taking steps that up until now I've only kind of dreamed about. I didn't really think of myself as, I wasn't confident enough to get myself out there on social media with the web, with the videos, and I wasn't confident enough for in regards to a number of things. And this year, anxiety or not, I am being brave. This year, regardless of budget, I am taking some leaps forward. I'm just finding better ways, more efficient ways, less expensive ways to do that. And part of the struggle, I think, sometimes with planning, with journaling for a lot of people is that some of this stuff can be pretty expensive. Some of this stuff can be quite expensive. If you think about the subscriptions for stickers, for monthly sticker kits, if you think about just regular stickers, if you don't even use monthly subscriptions but you buy regular stickers, if you think about the cost of inserts and the cost of traveler's notebooks, the cost of fountain pens and the cost of fountain pen ink, and the cost of watercolor, the cost of microns and Faber-Castells and dashboards and Leutstroms and Hobonichis and the Hobonichi covers and all the stuff that comes with the journaling and the planning, scrapbooking. Lord knows, I couldn't afford to scrapbook. I did scrapbook for a while, but I was like, I did a lot of it DIY. And a lot of things I still do DIY. Why? Because one, I'm on a budget, and two, I just can't see spending a certain amount of money on certain things, especially if it's more or less a fad, or if I'm not sure that it's something I'm going to stay interested in. Which is why I haven't invested money in certain things and why I haven't tried certain new products, because I'm not sure that it's something that I'm going to like. I was gifted a set of acrylic paints and I love the colors, and I saved a few of them But the bulk of them I gave to my daughter, who actually does do acrylic. I saved just a few of them because I do like doing DIY projects. And if I do a DIY project, like painting a table to go outdoors with maybe a mandala or something else on it, we have an outdoor bar table that I'm going to convert, and then eventually we'll find outdoor stools to go with it, and I'm going to make it like a patio. And it's all going to be DIY, and I will draw some stuff on that table and then paint it and then cover it with some kind of a clear coat so that it won't get messed up. And my daughter can bring the paints over, and my daughter and I can do it together. It could be a project that we do together. But I don't use acrylic paint hardly ever unless I'm doing a project. And I hated for those paints to go to waste. So I saved a couple. I saved the white, I saved the black, I saved one other one, because those will be the ones that I use the most. The rest of them my daughter has. But I did play around with them enough to realize that I'm just not an acrylic paint person unless it's for a project. Same with different things. Like, I love Derwent Inktense pencils. I like some of the graphite pencils, and I've got a set of graphite pencils, but I don't need any more graphite pencils. I have the core set because I don't do enough of that to warrant having more. So my word for the year, be brave, is to be brave and to take a stand. To be brave and to try new things. And one of my stands that I'm taking is that sometimes we need to think before we push that button that says purchase. So Use It or Lose It December taught me that I had purchased quite a few things that I used once and never used again. Part of Use It or Lose It December made me realize that there were some things I use a whole lot, and other things that if they're not right in front of me, even though I love to use them, I haven't used them because they're not right in front of me. So Use It or Lose It December taught me that I need to have some of the things I'm going to use either right here on the craft table or right back there on the art desk so that they're right there in front of me, which meant I needed to reorganize how I have things. Use It or Lose It December taught me that I needed to get rid of some of my books. I needed more shelving for art supplies and craft supplies and stuff like that. And some of my books I was never going to read again. So Mr. Rockstar had helped me pack up 2 bins full of books, and one bin is the books that I want to keep but I'm not really currently reading, and we put them up in the attic. The other bin of books was actually a box of books, and I have donated those. I have one more bookcase to go through to see whether I want to keep or donate, because I'm getting rid of stuff. If I don't use it, I'm losing it, and I'm still doing that in January. One of the other things I realized is that I need to organize things better so that things are more efficient. So I've been working on that. I've been redoing some things. The closet I've started, I haven't finished, I'm still working on. Being brave meant just getting in there and starting it, even though every time I looked at that closet, it overwhelmed me. There are a number of instances in my life where I have procrastinated out of anxiety, and I need to get past the anxiety. Now, I have been diagnosed with anxiety, so part of it I know I'm never, like, it's conquering Everest in a way, you know? I mean, so I figure I take it step by step, one day at a time, one step at a time. And art is one of the best ways for me to, as far as therapy goes, for my anxiety and depression. Planning, bullet journaling, and planning in general, whether it's in the Hobony 2 or in the bullet journal, actually helps me focus, helps my ADHD, which is why I don't mind redundancy, overlap in my planning, because the more I see things on calendars, the more I see things in my journals and my planners, the more likely I am not to forget it, not to get distracted and forget about it. I oftentimes do have post-it notes upon the calendar, post-it notes on my monitor. I have the same thing written down in different planners because I need that reminder, because I know myself and I will get distracted. Being brave also meant admitting some things to myself. Hey, you're always going to have multiple planners. You're always going to have multiple journals. You're always going to, because you love them. The only problem is not letting yourself get overwhelmed. Being brave, to me, I have been the A5 queen. I love A5s. And now I have switched to B6. And I can tell you one of the reasons, the main reasons I switched to B6. I wanted to try a B6. So I received my Janelli Fish B6 way before I ever got Bree's notebook. I was saving this to put the notebook in. But when Bree sent me this documented journey, I custom ordered it on her Etsy shop. I fell in love. It's perfect, perfect for right now in my life. That doesn't mean, and I will probably always use the size for sketching, for getting out there and sketching. That doesn't mean that eventually I won't go back to an A5 for regular journaling. I have my A5s. I'm not getting rid of my A5s. I like the space. There will be days when I have a lot I want to put down on pages, and I will use the A5. But for my everyday general journaling, art, sketching, art journaling, regular journaling, I have fallen in love with the B6, believe it or not. And of course, now I found a size. Back when I started with the A5 Traveler's Notebook, when I was first setting up my Writer's Bible, there weren't any inserts or anything out there. I ended up using notebooks in my Writer's Bible. That was my first one. There weren't very many inserts for A5 when I first started doing that, which was a few years ago. And now there are lots of stuff out there. There's lots of stuff out there for A5, but you can't find as much stuff for B6. Not regular size B6. Find quite a bit for B6 Slim, but I'm so not a fan. So being brave means being honest, being authentic and real. And you're going to get a lot more real, authentic. You're going to get more budget-oriented videos for art stuff. You're going to get more use it or lose it. I'm going to talk more about all of that in future coffee chats. I'm going to do a budget fountain pen video because I don't have any fountain pen that costs more than $60. I'm on a budget and I can't afford the expensive ones. So we're going to talk about some of the fountain pens I have that are budget fountain pens and some of the pros and cons to some of them because I like the look of some of them, but it really depends on the pen. I have two Pilot Pereiras. One's a medium and one's a fine. One's a demonstrator and one's not. And one is scratchy and skips and the other one doesn't. It really just depends. So we're going to have more videos to come and I'm really excited because I have the newsletter almost finished. I've got to get everybody's email together so I can put it in the form. I've got to finish the blog post, get my feedback for the newsletter video from Patreon, and get it all together. I was hoping to get it out on the 17th, but it looks like it may be this weekend because I need to make sure everything's together. I don't want to just send it out willy-nilly. I want it to be really ready. This is something special, and it means a lot to me, and I'm so thankful for all of you. But I am especially thankful for those of you who have been loyally following me on here since I very first started, and for my patrons on Patreon. I have never done like a video scroll where I put the names up of my patrons. I don't know that they would even want that. But for every single one of you who is a patron right now, who has stuck through October with me, July with me when my dad was diagnosed with cancer and Mr. Rockstar was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, through October and November when I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you again soon. Bye.